standards is adhering to the rules, regulations, procedures, and defined acceptable tolerances of procedures. And the tolerances in aviation are rightly very narrow. So good pilots should strive to be the best they can through self-discipline and integrity, which is doing the right thing while nobody's watching.
So standards are a core principle in which a person operates, and for me these are the principles at which any team member or a leader in my group has to adhere to, because it gives me a judgment on them in terms of what tolerance they have for weaknesses or errors, what level of gap they're willing to do. I mean, we hear a lot about the 80-20 rule, but in certain circumstances 80-20 just doesn't cut it. It's 90-10, it's 95-5.
So I honestly don't have a single definition of a high standard. I do have a few, because I believe it really relates to what we are talking about.
It's absolutely subjective unless it's defined and written somewhere. Then everybody can compare somebody who's high standard to the real standard written. Therefore, I may think that someone has high standards in his profession, while you could think that is actually low standards.
To answer to this question, first of all, we need to define the target. We need to define the range. High in comparison with what? To me, an high standard is when you are defining a target range and you want to reach the highest level of this range.
High standards are a set of criteria that, as an instructor, I've always tried to transfer to my trainees. They include self-discipline, consistency, accountability, the search for continuous improvement. I found that the best way to transfer those criteria, both as an instructor and a father, was to lead by example. High standards are important because they are the base to achieve excellence in everything.
Probably it's obvious, but it's not that obvious, because in reality, people tend to believe that high standard is a generic kind of definition, but in reality, you need to define the figures, you need to define the range.
When you use high standards, at some point the high standard becomes the baseline from which future high standards are created, which eventually raises the level. That's it.
Standard to me is by definition is the way someone should perform to achieve an objective.
The higher the better, and reliability becomes important. Standards for me are about reliability. When I see somebody who is able to consistently operate at a particular standard level, then I am definitely more interested in that person, because I appreciate their level of reliability.
So if you're talking about a product, a high standard for product, to me, it's something that that makes that product durable, meaning able to adapt to change, which is, to me, is the most important thing nowadays.
Why are they better, or why are high standards better? It's a matter of self-preservation and driving a collective culture of excellence on the squadron or company that you work for. If you are better, then you will earn respect, status and responsibility, which I think are character traits of most pilots.
If you don't track your performance, you can't really understand if you performed a high performance or a mid performance or a low performance. So everything to me is related to the target setting, and based on that you can definitely consider if your performance is high or not. I don't know.
If you're talking, if you're relating the high standard to a different scenario, like it could be in a complex organization, a high standard work, it's a work that is fully interchangeable with the different articulations that reside inside this complex activity. So whatever I'm able to produce as work, that single work can be easily used by anyone else in that complex organization. That to me, it's a high standard for that scenario.
Talked about standards, then the comparison between who would you prefer, between a high standard guy or a low standard guy? Well, that's pretty obvious. I think everybody would rather have somebody that works with high standards, compare them to low, by the definition that we gave before.
The other side of it is obviously quality of output, quality of output, and the desire for having a high quality of output. That level of pride in a person allows us to judge where a standard of a product or an output, whatever it is in the corporate world or in athletics and in anything that I've been involved with, allows me to say that this person has a certain level of quality that they're always consistently applying, and I'm able to accept it more readily. Once I've judged that person to be operating at a high standard, then I don't need to test them again. I just know it will
Lastly,
always
if you're
work.
talking about a person, high standard for a person, it's someone that is just able to have a vision and is able to adapt the vision to what is happening into his life. Adapting the vision, not changing it, adapt it, which is a very different thing. So if you want to try to, those all three definitions to me, however, have one single thing in common, which is they force you to say one single question in your head, which is, why I didn't think about it before. That easy.